Hello! Kira got a new one. How we doing? Are we doing good? You're surprised. Honestly, there's quite a lot. I think there are 15 I managed to get out of there. Not all of them are to do with locked doors, but we'll get to that. Kira wins a free commission. Yeah! A Quimbsh of your choosing. Hell, there's a Kira, there's a Miss, there's a Bear, there's a Ragdoll. They're our friends. How are we? Completely thought today was Thursday for a long time. Just as I started stream, I was like, wait, hang on, it is Wednesday, isn't it? Yes, we did a ghost trick yesterday. Sloped the last of your chicken noodle soup. Now you have hiccups. Oh, we had chicken noodles as well because our oven died. So we had to make do. Nice though, I like noodles. Noodles are good. So Conscious didn't want to acknowledge the ending of this game or something. It's fine. I'll rush through it. Exhausted, have folks fixing the roof so it's been heckin' loud all day. Oh, Quimbsh is perfect as they are. Yes. Haven't watched a VOD yet. How are you enjoying Ghost Tricks? It's very good. I'm a big fan of many of the things. We've just met Mr. Flash Detective dancing downstairs. The grand time. Bad on my voice though. I chose a lot of bad voices to do. So Cabanela, yes. And I have adopted a couple of emotes. Because the bouncing lamp is good and the missile is the best. Nothing else matters except for missile. Yes! Missile's best boy. I'm good. Brilliant voices, thank you. It may also be why my voice is a little weird today. So, it's fine. But yeah, it's alright. It's not like I'm going to talk a lot. It does happen, miss. It does happen. Take care of your throat. It's fine. Hey, look, Quimbsh. I think I need these facts to last longer. There's not enough time to read them, really. They go past quite quickly. I can change that. I've been coding all day, so I can hop into JavaScript and mess around with that. Draw the incoming nonsense and wave at the screen expecting us to get it. It'll be fine. Right, so, getting back to it. Chris Woom. We don't need that. That hot chocolate's good medicine for sore throats. Well, I don't have hot chocolate. I have 2 cold drinks. As is always the case. With cream and marshmallows. I'm not a huge fan of cream, all things considered. And we don't have any marshmallows, so we'll have to make do. I forgot there was 4 last week. Yeah, Frog might have gotten eaten. So, quick recap. Last week we found the missing queen of Lindblom, who ran away when the king was caught being... I'm trying to conjugate the word infidelity into a sort of active verb, and I can't work out how you do it. Infidelitus? Caught cheating. And he asks for forgiveness, and we generally decided, yeah. Is that the classical conjugation there, Bear? Or are we basing that on the Latin? Or there's always VAR when Quimbsh is around. Got to disc 4 last night, also sorry in advance because your memory's mush. Honestly, I played this on Sunday? Yes, I played what we were about to do on Sunday. I will still not remember it. French, okay. So he's a deek. Got it. I'm gonna get the pronunciation right. Yes, anyway. But because he's not particularly important for the rest of the story, he gets eaten. Quimbsh eats him and learns how to build airships. But Queen Girlboss tells us of the fact that she was not exactly kidnapped by Mr. Swan, but just sort of held here, kind of, almost. Not really a prisoner, mostly as somebody to talk to, because Mr. Swan really likes to talk. She says he likes the sound of his own voice a lot. And talks about things like the gateways and other worlds and mirrors and various bits and bobs that we don't really understand. But does mention a few things like reference to a castle somewhere, a castle that we passed earlier in the story. That might be useful. There might be something there that is of importance. So now the Quimbsh has learned how to make airships. They make an airship for us, the Quimbsh 1. I forgot about this. This needs a 3D model, doesn't it? Swan's one of those. Oh yes, does a lot of likes talking. Who needs podcasts when you have Mr. Swan? Anyone who doesn't want to listen to Mr. Swan. But yes, we build the Quimbsh 1. But in the meantime, Princess Butterknife goes missing. Oh no, she goes missing again. And after a long search, we go to Simeon goes to Alexandria and finds Jessie here, having a bit of a contemplate about life. But she mentions, oh hey, has anyone actually checked like by her mum's grave? Maybe she's like, you know, mourning or something, paying respects. So Simeon goes there and is like, oh hey, you're here. That you know, that could have been solved by just thinking, but you know, as the picture demonstrates, nothing going on. Take all the podcasts instead of having to listen to Mr. Swan all the time. Yeah, I feel I'm very much that one of the big issues with the Drawthrough is tone of voice for characters. Of like, I can't accurately on the fly speak like Mr. Swan. I don't have the, you know, feather in the hairy poetry that he would be able to elicit at a moment's notice. Should have called her Princess Teaspoon. Always losing teaspoons. That's all right, because she's gonna change. She's a changed person now because she takes the Simeon's knife and cuts her hair in a symbolic act of personal growth, and vows to follow us on our adventure before she comes back and becomes queen. Because she needs to avenge her mother's death and everything that's happened to Alexandria and all that sort of stuff. This needs to stop. So she's coming along to sort that out. Which, cool. Oh yeah, she also got a voice back. She didn't have her voice for a bit. Appropriate, I think, for yesterday's stream. Then we fly the Quimbsh 1 to the place of this castle. What we heard of. Disney princess much. It's fine, she's a strong, independent person now. She's nothing like her former self. But we get to this castle, which turns out to be two castles sellotaped together. It's called Tiffany's Castle because you decided to call a character you didn't know Tiffany much earlier on in the Drawthrough. And in there is a MacGuffin. In fact, 4 MacGuffins, but we'll get to that. But before we can get in there, Knuckles Van Sonic, from Van Sonic, has a bit of a attempts to show off his greater philosophical prowess by demonstrating how it's much better to work on your own than it is to work on a team, by rushing ahead of us and getting the MacGuffin, or getting to the MacGuffin before we can. We're just like, sure, whatever. Anyway, we do some fun puzzly things involving rooms being upside down. It's not actually puzzles, you just sort of walk through. It's a bit of a shame, really, but it has potential. He has a disagreement with friendship, and Simeon's way of doing things, which is why he's here. You know when you're stuck in life, you need an immediate change, so the thing you can easily attack is your own hair? Anyway, you thought that was interesting. I remember cutting my hair when I was younger, because I used to have a ponytail. I remember I got that cut short, purely because I went to have a haircut and they cut it too short anyway. So I was like, well, I could have a tiny ponytail or just cut it short properly. So, it's like, eh. Some things at the start of the story happened way too early, and some stuff here happens way too late. Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But yes, we carry on through this, we do that, we do this. And then we get to the MacGuffin room, where the MacGuffins are, and we are met with Sonic Van Knuckles Van Sonic, who claims victory over us and proves that friendship is crap. and then promptly buggers off again. And appropriately for bugger, because a bug attacks. Big old horrible bug, who is the keeper of the mirrors, apparently. We defeat them, because bosses get defeated in JRPGs, and it tells us something about these things on the wall here, these mirrors. Tahaka, yes. And in order for us to learn a little bit more about this story, they ask us to hark a thing that they say, which is about these mirrors and how they're some sort of seal on some sort of thing, some sort of gate, whatever. Not entirely sure. Something Terra, something. Blah 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 blah. So we take the mirrors and we bugger off and we leave, which is great. Not you.
The door is frozen shut. It won't budge.
It won't budge. And we get outside and we're like, hey, where's Knuckles? He should have been out here before us. And everyone's like, we haven't seen him. He's probably still inside. We paid much attention. So we go back inside and we find, oh, hey, Knuckles he's fallen in one of the traps and there was no one to help him. Oh, ha ha ha. What, oh, the irony. He is going to learn about friendship and how friendship is good. Because he was mugged by 3 Tonberries. But instead, in our draw-through, we've just decided, actually, you can just stay there and we're going to take the Tonberries as a character. So we now have Tondon Tingle in our party. Sorry, Tondon Dingle. Who is a totally normal human. Who's great and grand, and don't worry about them. They also don't understand the appeal of teamwork, because you would never see them working together. But as an individual them, obviously, not a plural them. The most normal. Right. Now we have mirrors. What do we do with them? Well, if I go back here. Not that far back. Not that too far forward. There we go. If we look here, we found that the mirrors were on a map. And this is a map of the world. So down here we have the Mist Continent. This is where the first half of the story takes place. Then we travelled along to the Outer Continent, which had, there's the Black Mages around here somewhere. This is, I think here, roughly, is where the Raleigh Ho fellows are. The tree was over here somewhere. I think over here somewhere was the Desert Palace, where we had fun frog music times. Raleigh Kupo! And we are here in this castle, and this thing over here was where we had, where we went to see all those weird faces on the wall. Up here is the Arctic area. This is where the volcano is. And this is ocean, as you can see. But the mirrors were placed in a specific place, so it behooves us to... Does Tahaka mention... Oh, for the sake of simplicity, Tahaka also mentions that all of these things have to be used simultaneously. So we're going to go to these places and take the mirrors to the respective locations and just kind of see what happens. But, as we've been told by the big bug, this needs to be done at the same time. So we need to split up into groups. So getting on the Quimbsh one, we fly to the locations. Now, I can't remember what order the locations are in. I can't even remember which one's which, frankly. I don't think it matters all that much. I don't remember if it's mentioned that they should all be activated at the same time, but Simeon sure thinks so. Great. Water's first, if you remember right. That's... yeah, okay. Yeah. Each of these corresponds to a place on the map, but they correspond to a particular strange... not weather event, but just sort of environmental peculiarity. So we get to the first one. And let me get the Quimbsh one up. There it is. So yeah, the first one is just sort of off the coast of this sort of strange continent that we've been finding all the weird stuff on. And it's this weird sort of outcropping with some strange stones coming out of the water. And I think there's a whirlpool in there. It's something like this. The wind. Yeah, I can't remember what order the other two go in, but I remember who goes where. Like that's the important bit, I guess. And so we have a group of 8 people, right? We have Simeon, we have Vivi, James, Zorl the Knife. Music, please, calm down. Zorl the Knife, Quimbsh, Betty, Nox, and Tondon Dingle. So it makes sense. We've got these 4 places to go. We've got 8 people. We're just going to split up into groups of 2. And it's sort of decided, the characters sort of decide themselves where they want to go. And it is decided that the water place is going to be... Is it the water place? I think there is a cave or something. There is a bit of dry land that you go into, because I think, yeah, they walk into a cave, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you get no saying this, it just sort of happens. This is girl time, isn't it? If I recall. Yeah, it is. So it is. I don't know whether it's Betty or Zolder Knife who decide that they're going together. I'm guessing it's Betty. It's like, we're gonna have girl time. Now that she can talk. Which is wild to you because it goes, everything RPGs put you with 2 white mages alone somewhere. They're also summoners. But yeah, I think it would be wiser to put a physical person with a magic caster. But, you know, it's story, it doesn't matter. So yeah, we have in our cutaway, sort of going into this sort of strange ruin, sort of underground. We have the newly mop-topped Zolder Knife. Still wearing the Moogle costume. It's a traveling outfit. It also makes Betty feel more at home. And Betty, and they go off together down this strange thing. And Betty's like, "Okay, cool. Now we're alone. Let's talk about boys." I was like, "Hey, Betty, you're like 6 years old." Like, do you really like Simeon? Trying to save the world here, Betty. She's 6 and has no filter, exactly. Oh, hi, it's Anoobs. It is. Oh, also, bear. Bear, 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 bear. Bear, 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 run. I did the thing. I've started Gubbins-ing. And this is the name of my new album. Just so you know. How's an Oobs? Sorry, I got sidetracked immediately. Is Oobs good? Also, she was raised by Moogles, so that doesn't help. Yes, exactly. Nice.
Oh, shit.
It's not that bad, is it, Jib? Hi, Jib. Makes me happy. Do you like it? Yeah, sorry, I've got to get used to the fact that when you're sliding things onto the thing, it goes above where your finger is. So I kept putting things in the wrong place. But yeah. You now have new internet in the new flat. Hooray! Interwebs, which is Greninja. What did you miss? Well, we have briefly recapped what we did last time, and we got the 4 mirrors from the 4 MacGuffin mirrors from the place, and we are now visiting the locations on the map where those mirrors were placed on the map on the wall. We go to the first one and we find a massive wormhole, a massive whirlpool, and a shrine thing, a strange ruin, a wormpole. We found a wimpole. We had a little wimpole in a whirlpool. And you did that too. Yeah, so we're splitting up the party. There are 4 of these things, and apparently we need to do them simultaneously. At least Simeon thinks so. And we have 8 party members, so we're going to do two characters in 4 groups, going off and doing one each. So Betty volunteered her and Zolda Knife, the newly bowl-cutted Zolda Knife, to go together. And they're going to investigate whatever's in the wormhole. Whirlpool. Whatever's in the whirlpool. Quintzess Zolda Knife, exactly. And we come full circle. Of me not being able to remember people's names, because now she has so many. So yeah, they're going to go and investigate that. Meanwhile, nearby there is another one. It doesn't really matter what order these happen in, but I guess I know which one to go last. Not too far away is a chasm on the strange continent, or sort of like an area between sort of 2 cliffs, like a gorge, like this, which is very windy. Big old gusts of wind swooshing out of there, tumbleweeds aplenty. It's not entirely our fault she has so many names. In the game, fire is next. It doesn't particularly matter. So I guess the first one and the last one matter in terms of order, but the other 2 are fine. Like a gourd. Huh? Windy? Gourd windy? Windy? Tumbleweeds. I don't know where they're coming from. It's just got a big pile of them in there, I guess. And it is decided, given their sort of synergy of one setting fire to the other, that this should be James and Vivi go off together. And the great advantage of James and Vivi going off together is that, what with the wind and such, the brick that is James, the big square man, can just basically act as a wind shield for little baby Vivi. It's windy. I haven't drawn anything today, by the way. Notice the chassis of an airship, but you can't help imagine Queen's tongue hanging out from the front of the ship. Yes, this is the Quimbsh 1. Designed by Quimbsh, having eaten the king. As is perfectly vanilla in the story. Also, hi again. Yes, I haven't drawn anything today. I'm not using the right pencil, you see, that's the issue. It's definitely not that I haven't warmed up and... Dare not having drawn today. I know. There's another reason Simeon decided James and Vivi should go together, because he didn't want to leave James and Quimbsh alone together. Why not? Seems perfectly reasonable pairing. Why not? I mean, we have also ascertained that Quimbsh is very lightweight, being a fungus, so. Probably not a great idea to send them to the windy place, but the same with Vivi, really. And Tondon Dingle is suspiciously light, all things considered. For a perfectly ordinary human that tall, you would have assumed they'd be a bit heavier, but, you know. All shapes and sizes. James and Quimbsh could take over the world on accident. Yes. Did legitimately just go, oh, I should make sure that I filled everything in properly when I use the fill bucket, because otherwise I'll mess up the canvas for everyone. It's like, no, it's just me. Here's the question, to what extent should I draw what's in these places? Because we don't, like... It doesn't matter in terms of gameplay, and I'm going to have to draw it again anyway, so... we might as well just skip it. Good old Aggie mood. Yes. I'll mess up the canvas for myself. Everyone can also be in stream. There you go. Nice effect. Because it's using the background paper as well. That's not so good. No. It's a bit random. Yeah, look better just here. Anyway. Yeah, we don't see a lot of these places. It's almost as if they were rushed in development. But anyway, wind happens. It is very windy. Maybe he loses a feather from his hat. Who knows? So that's that dealt with. There's also the fire one. Well, we don't know these are elemental shrines, but one of them's water, one of them's windy, one of them's hot, and one of them's by an earthquake. The hot one has a volcano in it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just in the volcano. Back to the Quimbsh one. Adventures of the Quimbsh one. I don't even have to draw the volcano because I've already drawn that one. There it is. It's facing this way now. For the sake of composition. It's obviously the Elgwart TM. It's kind of sad because you play plenty of JRPGs, especially the Tales ones. When you think of elemental shrines in JRPGs, you do not think of what they did in Final Fantasy IX. Honestly, I'm already spending too long on them. So yeah, they go to Mount Trongle, and honestly, I don't really know what the expertise of the characters who are here is supposed to be, but basically, Nox and Tondon Dingle go together. Yeah, where's the actual shrine? A lot of ideas, not enough time. Feels very added on at the last minute, yeah. Don't worry, it's the only thing left in the game that feels like it was added on at the last minute. So yeah, these two get to learn a little bit about each other. Our best buddy. This is the point at which people joining and going, oh, is this a Final Fantasy IX thing? Go, no, it's not Final Fantasy IX, is it? So yeah, we get a little bonding session between these characters. This game either needed to slim down this part and get rid of the fourth disc, or expand this part and make the fourth disc more than just for the final dungeon. Yeah, it just needed like another year of development. There's so much attention to detail at the beginning of the game, and then the end is just like, here you go. Find your DS and your copy of Ghost Trick for the DS. You might have a nice palette cleanser for this game when you finish this one. Yeah! Play Ghost Trick. It's good so far. What do you mean? This is just what FF9 is like. Yeah. So yeah, they go into a sauna or something, I guess. And finally, we have the natural pairing of characters who are left, who are going to a big old sort of deserty area with more of these weird stones around, sort of sticking up out of the ground, basically as a landmark. And this place is just vibrating. Big old earthquakes happening here. So this is, yeah. We have water, wind, fire, and earth. And so we have, entering this place, the natural combination of the least and most important characters in this game, Simeon and Quimbsh.
Quimbsh.
Quimbsh. And Simeon's like, hey, I'm sorry about this, you know. Everyone else kind of had a pairing going on. Sorry that it's, you know, I'm sorry if you just feel like you've just been sort of, you know, you're here because you were the one left over. And Quimbsh says, what do you mean? What do you mean sorry? That's the amazing compliment. Leftovers are amazing. I'm happy being leftovers. And that's the best line in the game. Just throwing that out there. It's all downhill from here. Yeah, it's like, sorry you were just, you know, sorry if you felt like you were just the one left over. Leftovers are great! Your hair is very poofy to get today, Simeon. May end up being an issue. A little too Jareth. Why am I trying to draw you? Janky drawings. Trying to get to know Vivi's spouse better. Yep, they're canonically married. Quimbsh and Vivi. Purely for tax reasons. That needs another delete and redraw, but here we are. Canonically married. The best reason to get married. Tax. If you pay less tax, you can eat more food. Oh yeah, speaking of food. We'll get to that. In a second. So anyway, we walk in here, and immediately the floor smashes up against the ceiling. They walk in and there's a trap and it goes foop, foop, kabloom, like that. And they jump back just in time before they step on it. Parkour, exactly. I believe it's a quick time event. So it turns out these places are trapped. Oh no, dangerous stuff. But then they just run through it. But it also turns out that all of the other ones are trapped as well. So like the girls have like, I think there's like ice traps falling from the ceiling or something. Something along those lines. I don't know about the others. More wind, presumably. And fire, I guess. Yeah, little exclamation point that shows up. You've got to push the button when it shows up. To be fair, the whole game has been, you know, getting you ready for that, because every time you see an exclamation point, that means something interesting's there. So you've got reflexes of like, ooh. But yeah, we walk in, traps happen, we run through the traps. And then we get to the place where the mirror needs to go, which is like a kind of pedestal in the middle of this sort of big round room. And each of the characters sort of gets to their own one, but it turns out these pedestals are guarded, and each one is guarded by a monster. I won't draw the 3 monsters for the people who aren't Quimbsh and Simeon, for reasons that will be explained later. However, I will draw the one that appears for these two, because it's a boss fight and you have to do it. Alright, we'll try to anyway. It is, of course, what you all think of when you think of Guardian of the Earth Shrine. A Skellybob. With feathers in his hair. Or as hair. It's probably got more little skulls here. Yes, rules of the draw-through, for friends who are not familiar. I have to draw every boss. From memory. Skeletons go in the dirt, so yeah. I'm gonna give you a jaw. No, you're funnier without it. I believe... Is this the Lich? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. His names. Makes more sense than the FF4 Poison Boy for Earth. Yeah. He does turn into dead, eventually. He does turn into dead, as people often do. Lich, the Earth Witch, Skeleton Edition. Them's a Skellybob. Oh, hang on, I have a brush for this, don't I? That comes in useful when doing illustrations for Hell. Let's make it bigger. Yeah, Lich, classic Earth boss in FF. Yes, I think these are based on the ones from Final Fantasy 1. I believe. It's been a very long time since I played Final Fantasy 1, but... I've gone past the point of trying to remember this, I'm just now drawing. Now here's the thing. So they attack you, they are defender of this shrine. And they attack you, as indeed everybody else is attacked by their own respective fights. This is the only fight you actually do. The other ones just happen off screen. And everyone is assumed competent enough to deal with it. Yeah, ye old Final Fantasy 1 boss. Again, Final Fantasy 9 was supposed to be the kind of like celebration of the series and its roots. Being a major anniversary of it and all that. But anyway, this boss is quite big. Not enormous, but pretty darn big. Occasionally when drawing these, I just sort of blank out and I'm not even paying attention anymore. My eyes glaze over as I draw. You can probably tell that point. Meanwhile, in every other JRPG with the party split up like this with multiple bosses, you got to do every dungeon and boss. Yeah, which, to be fair, can get annoying. I'm thinking of the tower in FF5. What's it called? I have the word spoon in my head. Fork Tower, that's it. That's annoying. Haven't played that one yet. FF5 is my favourite 2D Final Fantasy, but I also understand why other people don't like it. So it's very silly. But the job system's real good. And also I like silly. But anyway, so here's the thing about this boss, right? It's pretty big. It's a big old skelly bob. It attacks you. Defender of the Earth Shrine. Quimbsh can just eat it. And learn Earthquake. In the process. So you get this thing down to half health, Quimbsh just eats it. It's grand. You can't normally eat bosses. But this one, sure, why not? Which way's Quimbsh facing? Quimbsh faces the camera. Regardless of which way the body's pointing, Quimbsh faces the camera. We know this. Best FF5 quote. Turtle! Something about, you know, eating pizza or whatever. There's a lot of good FF5 quotes. It's a very silly game. Oh dear, I think I left the iron on. Gilgamesh just runs away. Quimbsh is always looking, always watching. So yeah, you just eat this boss, and that's dealt with that. The guy has some rare items you can steal too. Oh, I didn't know about that. Hang on. Oh, they look a lot cooler in the game. I forgot a lot of details about this, but anyway. What do we steal? Steal. Oh, speaking of speaking of Gilgamesh, you can get Genji gloves. Siren's flute, black robe. Nice. Let us fight like men and women who dress like men. He does say that. How do you know, Gilgamesh? Faris is NB icon. Maybe we'll do a draw through a 5 one day. It's very silly. But yes, our two non-binary Final Fantasy icons, Faris and Quimbsh. But anyway, so yeah, we do that, and we use the mirror. I'm still not entirely sure what you actually do here. This scene is quite short, which is certainly an icon. Well, there are enough statues of them. They have Battle of the Big Bridge playing in your mind. I'm gonna have to make a knockoff Battle of the Big Bridge. That one definitely gets copyright strike. You just play the game, that one gets copyright strikes. I know that because we did a randomizer for my birthday and I got a copyright strike on it. You place the mirror on a pedestal in the shrine. What does that do? But once we've done them all, we receive word of somehow. Again, I played this not long ago. I think it suggested that one in the Google Doc. I looked through that recently. I didn't look at the covers though. No, did I look at the covers? No, I did look at the covers. Because that's where I got a couple of references to Undertale stuff. But yeah, no pressure. It's anyway, yes. So we receive word that something's happened just south of the volcano. And there's this weird series of like glaciers. Called, I believe, the Shimmering Isles or something like that, and there's nothing there. It's just a bunch of random clumps of ice in the ocean, but they're a, you know, fun sort of opalescent color rather than just sort of pure ice. And it transpires back on the Quimbsh one. Very pretty, which I'm obviously not going to do a great job of because I can't do color in this setup. I've also never drawn a glacier. But I can do my standard effect of illustrating that there's a big old light shining from it. Ever since we put in those things, there's this light glowing from the middle. It's shimmering a lot more than usual. And we look at it from above, and there is a very weird sort of wobbly, shimmery thing going on in the middle. And we heard that apparently using these mirror things unlocks a gate of some kind. And so the obvious thing to do is to jump from the ship into it. Right? We're all on board for that? We're off board for it, I guess, overboard. Again, I can't remember exactly how we come to this conclusion. I blame Simeon, but... yeah, you get a choice of like, hey, should we do this? Because this is probably something we can't really get back from easily. You also blame Simeon. Get a bit of... so it's been jumping and climbing everywhere. He's a jumper and a climber, that boy. So yeah, we don't even try and get closer with the ship. I don't think. We just sort of jump in, free fall, no parachutes. This is a good idea. Yeah, it doesn't matter, too small. So yeah, we just yeah, we see a what is essentially a portal at the bottom, and we jump in. I'm glad you worked out what I was doing. Just a mess of pixels, but I'm glad someone got it. So yeah, we jump in and fall unconscious, because that's what you do when you jump into a portal, I guess. But when Simeon comes to, there's no one around. But more importantly, it's in a very weird place. Which I'm now going to attempt to draw. The weird looking tree thing. I don't... So a few features of this place is that it's pretty blue. Ugh, it's dramatic. It's very blue, very shiny, very crystalline. All of the surfaces are sort of strange, sort of either a crystally substance or a sort of strange organic sort of thing. And the landscape is sort of crystal fungus. Not quite sure how to describe what's going on here, but so yeah, we're in a very weird environment. And like I say, we wake up and this is, I'm sure I should have remembered what gets said here, but I guess in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter because we can probably get through most of this area today. So it's all going to blend into one anyway. But yeah, so we're in this very weird landscape. Doesn't look like anything we've seen before. Although it has motifs similar to some places. So if you remember when we went to the ruins where we got the MacGuffin from the plane, there was a lot of like spiral patterns and weird like HR Giga style sort of architecture and stuff. It's got that kind of vibe. Only very bright blue. And crystally. So Simeon wakes up here, and like I say, no one else is here, with the exception of someone who we have seen, but who Simeon hasn't seen. Well, I mean, we'll get to that. Can't believe the people at the gym made you do exercise. Should demand a refund. It's terrible treatment. All the Geneva Convention Advice Bureau. Also, hi Liz. Hi friends, hi friend. We just jumped through a portal. You take your pain out on me and press the fact button? No! Not the fact button! Fact, exercise makes ow. They made you do it. No! I'm melting! Just sit here in silence for the next 2 hours. Well, this feels appropriate for the current physical states. Sloths move 3 times faster in water than on land. Sloths be good swimmers. Exercise makes sleep, I'll say. I think when I had running, regular sort of 3 times a week running schedule, I was just constantly knackered. Never got better. Which is why I don't do it anymore. So sleepy right now, oh no. Well, that's fine, we'll make you yell. So yeah. Someone else is here. Who is it? It's none other than Mysterious Beardman. I guess not the first mysterious beardman in the game. So I'm gonna have to narrow that down. Mysterious beardman in weird armor. What we saw on a ship once. Well, what we saw in a weird place with a big glowing orb. Do you remember when Mr. Swan attacked Alexandria? And it cut to somebody with a beard saying, "You've gotten too far, Mr. Swan." From the eye ship. We didn't know he was on the eye ship, but it's fairly obvious. I believe we called him Goldo. He's here. He's back. And he has a hole in his chest for some reason. Character design, I guess. And he says something, which is presumably relatively important, about, you know, Simeon making it here, which is nice. It's been a long time since they've met. Simeon has no memory of him. But that soon enough, he will know. He will know everything. But that also he's kind of a disappointment, which is, I think we can get behind. He's quite short. And he has a cape. Very long arms, very short legs. But anyway, yeah, he churns up. He churns up, makes some butter, and then leaves. He just sort of vanishes into thin air after having a little bit of a chat with Simeon, saying something cryptic. This is not the time to be cryptic. This is the time to finally start giving answers. If I hurry up drawing, I can give you the answers tonight. Don't worry. So, if not, next time. He churns up. He's carrying a butter churn on his back. He makes Goldo standard butter. Insert hurry up here. Think this guy's a stranger to the
Trapdoor.
Trapdoor.
It's blocked. I can't go that way.
You keep trying. Stranger to the paradise of the FF9 world. Is there something to the paradise of the FF9 world? Which we'll find out in a second. Anyway, so he says something cryptic and then buggers off, basically. He probably says more information, but we'll see. We'll hear that later anyway. Then Princess Zoralda catches up with him, as does everybody else. And they're like, hey, we made it through. We're all safe. Everything's grand. Life's good. And they explore this strange trapdoor with all of its weird things, and including enemies that are basically just blobs with lots of eyes.
It's sealed up. I can't get through.
This is a classic Final Fantasy
It's
enemy.
sealed up. I can't get through.
That's, well, it's good RNG. Yeah, so about that bad pacing. Alright, so fighting through jellied eyes, or gel eyes? I think they're called gel eyes. Blob sounds a lot like Jack. It does, really. Reg! Come on, Kira's got one of the new ones. No one else has got one yet. Well, Cheap did yesterday.
Ashes to ashes, to ashes, to ashes.
That's not a new one.
To ashes, 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 to ashes.
To ashes.
Trapdoor, Gromit.
Gromit. Gromit. It's a trapdoor.
I won't be able to force my way through these doors.
To our new friend, we have a command, which is...
Carnby, I'm stuck in front of a door. The lock works with cards. I already have 3, but I seem to need 4.
Thank you, Ellie.
Trapdower Gromit.
Trapdower. Yes, we have a command with a bunch of voice lines from games of people saying the doors are locked for reasons, but I also throw in some other fun ones while I'm there. Anyway, we come to a staircase that leads up to a weird sort of gate thing. Again, everything's sort of strange and crystalline.
Won't budge.
It won't budge. And peculiar, and you've got the weird, like, crystal mushrooms going on and all that sort of stuff. However, as we are walking up here, we see, in the weird, very bright blue sky...
There's something blocking the door on the other side.
Something blocking the door on the other side, that's right. It's the giant eyeball again. It's back, everybody. Yay! Insert classic audio clip of children going, yay! Sauron's back. It's here, it appears in the sky. I honestly, there was a big gap between me playing this section and the next section. This was sort of the last thing I did in this section before stopping for a while. And honestly, I forgot this happened, were it not for the fact that when I loaded in to do the next section, I remembered, oh yeah, Zolder faints again. So Zolder looks at this and faints again, because the haircut did nothing. She keeps doing this. No, she's strong, new person, new identity, new haircut. Yeah, faint. Turns out past trauma can't be solved with a haircut. Telling Sauron's mum that he's out past his bedtime. I know. Played this bit last week and forgot it happened. Yeah, I know. She immediately comes to us. Well, not immediately. We have to carry her somewhere safe. But in carrying her somewhere safe, can't believe the haircut didn't help. I know, right? In carrying her somewhere safe, we go.
Huin and Kugnath, Fanu Naemna, Bagliz Kafungin, Kathava Hel, Kulth Cthulhu Kafungni, Ia Rigazengaro, Ia Hydra.
We say those magic words. When did the pencil change? And we summon a village. Thanks, Miss. So, possibly the most useful quote we have. Also, this isn't a good way to be drawing this. How am I gonna... Oh, I don't know how to draw this place. It's weird. It looks weird. So I'm just gonna come up with shapes that I think are appropriate. Again, I saw this 3 days ago. But yeah, so there's this very sort of large mirror reflective pool in the middle of this place, like a big pond. With like little stepping stones and things around. And there's some buildings. And whatnot. I should probably use something other than refer to all layers when I have a texture in the background. There we go, spin it. So just briefly last night, and you are, but there are also, crucially, people wandering around. And we're walking in and we're carrying, Simeon is walking in, specifically, crucially, Simeon is walking in carrying Zoldaneif and is like, okay, we need to find somewhere for Zoldaneif to rest, what with her fainting for the 5th time. All we need to do is for her now to run away from here, and then we'll be sorted for a full set. But Simeon is slightly intrigued by the people here. Obviously, initially rather distracted by the fact that Zoldaneif fainted again, but oh, Simeon, this day is not the best of days for me not to know how to draw you. Any other day would have been fine. That looked like Peanut's character. Is there crabs moving on the screen? What? Crab? Oh, hang on, is the shark still there? Oh yeah, the shark's still there. Forgot about that. Yeah. You weren't there for that, were you? That was during the Sunday drawing stream. This was another one of the amazing pieces of concept art from Sonic. Completely forgot this was there. It's Jaws. And they're good. So they've been scrolling in the background this whole time. And they will continue to. Right. The best concept art, yes. Thank you for reminding me, Gia. I thought Twitch was doing a weird thing where I put a crab on the screen or something. Your hair's gonna be this now. I mean, this is, you know, the first time she's fainted with a short haircut. Something slightly different for me to draw. I may not be quick enough for us to be able to get through this whole section today. Maybe. Maybe we'll go a little bit longer in order to get it done.
It won't budge. I'll need to find another way in.
So yeah, we rush into this village to, you know, look for aid or a place for Zolda Knife to rest. And we are met with a village of people, all of whom look very, very similar to one another. And all of whom look very similar to Simeon, tail and all. Did they run out of character models? Yeah, so after finding a place for Butter Knife to rest, you can walk around and talk to these people. And a lot of them are very, like, robotic, almost. Like, they don't really have a personality, they're just sort of saying facts. Facts like, you know, we don't like the blue light, it hurts, but it's for the purposes of acclimatization. And, I don't know, other nonsense.
Shorts are comfy and easy to wear.
No, that expresses an opinion. That's beyond these people. They can't express an opinion. Only fact. They're also wearing sort of a mix. It's weird outfits, sort of like a mix of like sci-fi and tribal. Strange. I never looked at them before now. Before the other day, and yeah, odd. That's a fact. Only if you can properly internalize the concept of comfy. Fact? What now? Never gonna get this done. The German for contraceptive pill is anti-baby pillar. Which, frankly, is reasonable. You knew that one. It's probably. You probably used the same word. That ain't broke and all that. We've got to learn a whole new word, like the contraceptive. What does that mean? No, anti-baby pill. Done. Sorted. I'm assuming they're wearing shoes. They might not be. I don't know. But you also learn, walking around. No, we usually just say the pill. Oh, that's the same here. But yeah, you also learn that they refer to themselves as genomes. Speaking of Metal Gear Solid, genomes. Gnome, yeah, so they refer to themselves as gnomes, and Metal Gear. Yeah, and that they also mention Goldo, Cape Guy, Beard Guy. Whose footprints are these? It's difficult to tell with them because they've all the same feet. But you also find like some of them are in tanks, like sort of bubbling tanks in things. So there's clearly some sort of weird sci-fi mumbo jumbo going on here. But they're like testing their physical abilities for things. of like, you know, oh, this person has a natural symbolic recognition aptitude score of 7.5, which is above the average for a genome with this much exposure to the blue light, blah 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 blah, blah stuff. What was that noise? Yeah, I think you mean they're in an elevator. I was gonna oh, also, for some reason, Muffin's here. One does not ask how Muffin gets to these places, only be grateful. For they are here to sell you baked goods. Yeah, don't know how he got here, but he found a way. He was traveling and he fell into the portal. It's fine, it happens. We kind of did the same, only we threw ourselves off a ship. It's basically the same procedure. But anyway, Muffin's here to sell you baked goods. So we learned about these weird gnome people, and clearly there's some sort of cloning thing happening here. And some weird scientific non-mumbo jumbo. And they all look like Simeon, which is a thing. And eventually they get Zol the Knife to a little inn. She recovers, she's fine. And she talks about how, oh yeah, no, that was the thing, what we just saw in the sky, that was the thing that attacked the Summoner Village when I was young and destroyed everything. And it's here, and it's not really a massive eye in the sky, it's attached to a big thing. It looks like a ship. And they're talking about this, and meanwhile, they're like, where's Simeon gone, by the way? Has anyone seen Simeon? So Simeon's wandering around and he's sort of talking to these people, and he's met someone. He's met one of these people who is slightly different from the rest in a way that I'm going to symbolize by, I think, the fact they have like little sort of hair things like that. I said slightly different. Yeah, he left them while she recovered in the inn. Yeah, she was unconscious and he's like, oh, I can't stand around here, I've got to work out what's going on. So yeah, and this person's like, hey, follow me. I have things to show you and tell you. Oh, and we see the box art. I forgot about this. I completely forgot about this until I played it the other day. On the front of the box, there's this crystal, which is the sort of main sort of art for the game. And it's just sort of floating there and people are around it just sort of looking at it. Oh, yeah. And something else happens with it as well, which I'll draw while I'm... Yeah, they're also wearing pink, yeah. So they're clearly, you know, not exactly the same as everybody else here. There are differences. Some of them are small. You know, there are like children equivalents. Not that they're acting like children, but... But obviously, being here... Quimbsh takes the opportunity, having seen a massive floating rock, of going, hey, what are you, you're all looking at this rock. You mind if I lick it? No one objects, so... They give it a lick. It's a bit salty, apparently. Oh, but the other thing to point out is that when other people try and talk to these gnomes, no one will speak to them. It's just Simeon, apparently. Simeon's the only one who will get a response. So Vivi sort of tries to talk to them and stuff like that. Plays the Jaws theme tune. With the occasional, what's the name of that drum with the stick in it that goes? You know the sound, even if you don't know the drum. Broken drum. I don't even know how to Google this. No, it doesn't matter. But yes, so that's all happening. And so yeah, this one here, who doesn't introduce themselves with a name or anything like that. Oh no, she does. Not yet though. Not yet. But anyway, we have a chat, and she's showing Simeon around and pointing out these wonderful elevators and all these sorts of things, and explaining what this place is, which is, or what these people are, what these gnomes are, which they are sort of empty vessels, as it were. They are without a soul. Yeah, she says her name after all this right before the Disc 4 swap. Yes. When is the Disc 4 swap? What's the last thing that happens in Disc 3? No, non-spoilery description. Is it leaving? Oh, is that the last thing that happened? Yeah, back. Yeah. But yes, yeah, leaving. Cool. What's the thing? Yeah, so she's explaining these things about the gnomes and whatnot, and how they're like empty vessels, and they don't have a soul, and how they are being made to receive a soul, because on this planet, because we're on Terra now, not Gaia, we have changed planets, if it's not obvious. On this planet, the original population has been sleeping for thousands and thousands of years, and they are waiting to wake up, and they need bodies when they wake up. And that's what the gnomes are for. Space, baby! We're on a new planet! Welcome to Terra. We on Terra, not Gaia. So we sort of saw hints of Terra before in the weird ruin where there was like the two planets, and one of them was called Gaia, one of them was called Terra, and the weird bug that we talked to mentioned Terra, but we weren't really getting any information until we came to a new planet. They're sleeping, but they need their bodies when they wake up. Their consciousness is sleeping. Bet you weren't expecting aliens. Bet you weren't expecting aliens who look exactly like Simeon. Welcome to Final Fantasy. You always go to space at some point. Yes, so. And yeah, quite openly, quite happily, this gnome is explaining this to Simeon and mentioning that, yeah, Simeon's from here. You're a gnome. You came from here. You're special though, because Goldo gave you a soul. So, and then sent you to Gaia to do stuff. Who's Goldo? Goldo's Beardman. Old guy Beardman who we've seen in 2 scenes. Don't worry, we'll get at least 4. You know he's Beardman. That's all you need to know. Who is he? I want to say we'll get to that, but I'm honestly not sure. We'll get to that question mark. But anyway, Goldo did that. Goldo is the one who's sort of in charge here. And he's the one who sort of set up this project and is sort of growing these bodies to receive the souls, sort of. Yeah, and you know, she's all sort of matter-of-factly saying this and all that sort of stuff, and it was like, ah, you're here, you're home finally. And Simeon's like, I've never been here before in my life. I don't remember this at all. And she's like, no, this is your home. This is where you come from. And he's like, no, it isn't. But then she goes, well, I'm sure Goldo can explain this better than I can. So she says, meet me at the big gate at the entrance to the village. I should have explained actually. This big gate. This big gate thing here. There's like a weird wibbly wobbly force field in front of it, so we couldn't go through at the start. But she's saying now that we can go through and go and see Goldo because he's waiting in Pandemonium, which is a wonderful name for a location. Oh, I should also explain this village. We're on Terra, so this is. Okay, here. This is Terra. This is the landscape of the alien world Terra. And this is the village of Branbal. Why it's called that, I don't know, but I think that's a very silly name. Branbal. Like, the sandwich between Terra and Pandemonium is Branbal. That's a breakfast, exactly. Yeah, you cover it in milk, the ball falls apart, and you eat it. It's delicious. Bowl of bran. Gnomes, healthy, nutritious cereal. Anyway, so yeah, Simeon's trying to get his head around this. He's not quite, and he keeps complaining about the light as well. He keeps complaining about the blue light just being really annoying. Because there's bright blue crystals sort of set up everywhere, and everyone's sort of staring at them and saying, these are annoying, aren't they? But no, they're not saying these are annoying, that's an opinion. They're saying these hurt. These hurt to look at, but we have to. It's acclimatization. Whatever that means. And Simeon likewise is going, this is just really annoying. Everyone's really regular in Branbal. They get scored on their regularity. Just don't look at them. They're everywhere. The place is covered in them. I mean, they're literally staring at it. They've got, it's acclimatization. They've got to get used to it. What does that mean? We'll get to that now. But before that, I'll just say that, like, Vivi is walking around and is trying to talk to some of them. As Vivi does. Let me... For the sake of simplicity, we'll just do this on the same thing. Vivi's trying to make friends. Sweet Master Baby Vivi. And they're not talking to him. Because they don't talk to anyone. Except Simeon. But Vivi keeps trying. these people's collective brain cell. Well, actually, there's a nice little line of Vivi's here. Because Simeon walks up to Vivi and, says, "What are you doing? They're not talking to you." And Vivi's like, "Yeah, but trying. It was the same thing with the Black Mages when we met them on the ship at first. They didn't talk to me, but, they were in there. There was someone in there. I can sort of see, parallels." And I believe he says something along the lines of like, it's not that they're not there, it's like their brain's gone out to tea. Or something. Which I think is a great little insult. Thanks, Vivi. Sounds like too good for these idiots, too good for this story. But yeah, so Vivi's sort of seeing a connection here of these sort of people sort of not quite there, much like the Black Mages were before. Because this is a vastly inferior retelling of Vivi's story from earlier in the game. I just want to draw Vivi. Can I just draw Vivi? No, we've got to finish this thing. I do like this game, honestly. But this part of the story is it's a thing. So yeah, he's trying to make friends. And Vivi's like trying to explain how he feels about trying to make it through to them, like he did with the mages, and like it's sort of worth it. They're in there somewhere, and so on and so forth. And Simeon's just like getting really annoyed. Not necessarily at Vivi. He sort of complains about the lights and things like that, but he sort of snaps at Vivi a little bit. Yeah, about to say, did Simeon do I'll change some things, just let me copy your homework with Vivi? We'll get there. Kill Simeon. I'll say we may have an opportunity at some point, but I feel like Simeon is actually important for the telling of the end of the story, at least. Yeah, don't snap at Vivi, exactly. Yeah, about that pacing. But then anyway, eventually, like, Simeon goes off and follows Head Gnome. And wanders off to... Oh, no, we do actually get an explanation, don't we? Well, I'll do it with Goldo. I'll give him a reason to be in the story. So yeah, he wanders off and he goes to Pandemonium, wherever that is. Gets teleported there at the end of a little bridge behind the wibbly-wobbly gate that we couldn't go through before. And he gets teleported to this slightly less blue, slightly more Giga-y place. Lots and lots of spirals. And Goldo's there. So I'll draw Goldo first and then draw spirals as I'm talking. So yeah, Simeon asks, "Hey, where are we? What is this place? What's this Pandemonium?" And Goldo says, "This is the resting place for the souls of the people of Terra. They're all here and they're resting until they have the ability to awaken once again, once there is a safe place for them to exist." And he goes on to explain essentially the plot of this area, which is the kind of the cycle of life that happens at Terra, which is that they have this very, very, very old civilization that goes back very, 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 very long time. Longer than the lifetime of the planet that they're on. Because their way of extending life is by essentially transplanting themselves into another planet. When their planet dies, they just get a new one. That's their thing. However, that's a process that takes time. Planets have like life forces and life energy of their own. And so you need to kind of sort that out first. So you need to sort of get rid of all that crap, substitute in your own life energy. How often does your planet die? It's happened several times, I think, according to Golda. But yeah, he mentions that that's just what Terra does. When it needs to revive, it finds another life-bearing planet, gets rid of all the life on it, sticks its life inside, and boom, sorted. That's way too often. Just invest in more recycling. And Goldo was made. Developed. It's not entirely certain whether he's like an artificial construct or whatever. I don't know. But he exists as like the caretaker between the previous existence of the Terrans and the next one. He's the one looking after the whole process of getting to a new planet. So that's his deal. But how do you do that? It's vaguely reminding you, he once asked you if they handled the pacing in FF16 better than FF9. Mentioned being reminded of 9 months ago, Ragdoll, and you're currently pretty close to the end game. For what you so far have seen, aside from a lot of side quests at a few points, the pacing has been pretty good. They didn't really pull anything out of nowhere like the last minute, like in 9. No, they've been building to this the whole game. Didn't you see all of the little clues that led to this? Yeah. You know all of the foreshadowing that they had? No? Oh, I was hoping you'd say yes so that you'd tell me what it was.
Lies.
Lies. It's just straightforward lies. It's Wimdy. Yeah, so he's explaining all this. How does Mr. Swan fit into any of this? Glad you asked. The process of transplanting life into a planet, because the way planets work, very similar to Final Fantasy VII, actually, if you remember the story in that, or the backstory, rather. It's not really plot, but there's a sort of a flow of souls, right? Living things have a soul. When it dies, the soul goes back to the planet, and then eventually it gets reborn. There's a whole cycle thing in Final Fantasy VII. That's the live stream. Here it's just the planet. And so their plan is to, set up a filter, set up a thing that gets in the way of that process. So that when something dies, its soul gets caught in the net, as it were, and they can just inject in a Terran soul. And then eventually, over time, the whole thing will get replaced and life will be grand. The filter that they're using to do this is the ether tree. Did we call it the ether tree? The ether tree? The big old tree that we went to. Do you remember that? Not the one that got blown up, the other one. There's like a big screen behind him. One that looked like a cauliflower. Oh yeah, that was it, the cauliflower tree. Yeah, the one that produced mist. And there was that weird tree monster that was inside, and it said that it'd been there for thousands of years, and that it was the keeper of the thing, and all that sort of stuff. That was set up by them. Which is why it also had a similar sort of architecture with the spirals and the Giga-esque stuff going on. And what this does is filters out the souls. It catches the Gaian souls, the native souls, and injects in the Terran souls. And once it has the Gaian souls, it just gets rid of them. In the form of mist. Oh yeah, the one that goes and I always try to set on fire despite a counter-attacking with BS move if you try and set it on fire. Yep, nope. How long have they been doing this? A while. I think the thing in the tree did say that I'd been there for 100 years or something. Yeah, quite a while. So, do you remember we were saying, like, the mist continent? Like, when we were on the mist continent, it was full of mist, and that's just its sort of defining feature, and people have been calling it the mist continent forever. The mist comes from this thing, so Because the mist is the stagnant souls of people who have died on this planet and not been reborn. If the tree was there for thousands of years, it seems a very inefficient process. And that is why Mr. Swan is around. Mr. Swan is also a gnome. To commit genocide. To kind of, yeah. Is that a tree? Yeah, it's a big cauliflower tree. It's like a weird tangle of stuff. It's reminiscent actually of the flying tree in Final Fantasy 3. But anyway, yeah, he's a genome too. He's got a tail. We haven't noticed it yet because he's been wearing a big old skirt thing to hide it, but he does have a tail. So yeah, Mr. Swan is also a gnome. And there's a lot of reference when referring to Mr. Swan in the presence of Simeon to him being his brother, essentially. So every time I saw that in the game, I was like, brother? A lot of brother in this. Brother! And I do imagine, like, he has a similar sort of voice of, like, Liquid. Right, but, so yeah, Mr. Swan was a gnome, who was imbued with a soul so that it can actually, you know, make decisions and do things with a certain element of flair, and sent down to Gaia to accelerate the process of this filtration system, because if you're just waiting for the natural order of things, it's a bit slow. They're not really in a rush, I don't think, but I think Goldo was just impatient. Jeep, just get a little washed over. Mr. Swan was imbued with the soul of Gay, exactly. Yeah, sent to the planet to basically incite war and genocide. And in that way, there would be a much faster process of death and rebirth, which is what they wanted. Why didn't they do that from the start? Goldo's not the brightest. Don't try and understand, that's how you get through the Final Fantasy nonsense. However, it turns out, Goldo, being a little bit impatient and not really thinking things through, giving a soul to a gnome and then just sort of letting them free to do things for a bunch of years, not great in the sense of them developing their own personality and wanting to do things themselves. So they kind of went, you know, a bit rogue and started gathering power in the form of, like, these summons and all that sort of stuff, and getting a bit too powerful for Goldo's liking, and so obviously Goldo had to come down, put a stop to it, go, okay, you know, it's fine, whatever. You can have enough power to do your job, and that's as much as you're gonna get. If you'd done this multiple times, you would have made the process more efficient. But he was discovering why this was a bad idea. It's not a good idea to give your subjects personalities. They'll have their own thoughts and opinions. Yeah, he made some mistake. He was trying something new. It didn't quite work. But he kind of thought about this in the first place, in the sense of, like, okay, it wouldn't be a great idea to just do this with a normal gnome who have very long longevity, as the people on Terra do, because they kind of have to for this whole thing to work out. So he thought up, well, I'm going to need a replacement for Mr. Swan at some point. And so, like, you know, 10 years after sending Mr. Swan down, he sent down another one. Another gnome, and that was Simeon. Simeon was essentially supposed to be Mr. Swan's replacement. The two instances of gnomes have been resulted in a genocidal Gay and Simeon. Which is worse? Cast your vote now. Bad track record. This has not been a great experiment, all things considered. All he had to do was wait. He was just impatient. So yeah, Simeon was sent down as a replacement. However, Mr. Swan, upon seeing a replacement, just went, screw that, and chucked it in a river. And that's how Simeon got adopted. into his loving, quote, family. But the point being, did he even try to do hypotheses before going straight into the experimental phase? This is very impatient, Goldo. I'm on Mr. Swan's side for this one. That's fair. But here's the thing, is that now, Goldo's like, you're back? You understand? You got a job to do. Off you go, boy. Do genocide. And Simeon's like, no. It's like, come on. I'm your dad. This is your home. These are your people. You've got to find a nice, happy home for your people. And Simeon goes into the whole thing of like, no, home is, family, and home are the people who brought me up, the people I've loved and laughed with, and so on and so forth. All that kind of thing. What about this entire story made you think that would work out? You not thought of a plan in the years Simeon was away? Nope. Well, why is Simeon your only plan? That is the most damning thing you could say about this section of the story. Why, if you've gotten to the point where someone is saying, why is Simeon your only plan? You know you've screwed up. But yeah, Simeon's going off on one of like, what family actually is and what, where his real home is where, the people he's loved and laughed with and all that kind of stuff, and he doesn't give a single toss about this whole terror nonsense. And that he isn't going to be the angel of death. I believe that's a phrase when talking about when Mr. Swan got a bit, carried away with this whole genocidal thing. They described him as an angel of death. And it's like, don't play into his egotistical fantasies. Yeah, Goldo's like, yeah, you could be the new angel of death. Simeon's like, no. Simeon shouldn't be anyone's plan. Never mind your entire planet's only plan for merging with another planet. It wasn't really a plan to do it. It was going to happen anyway. He just wanted to speed things up. Once the tree was up and running, you just gotta wait. Can Swan become a cute, fluffy pink monkey? We'll get to that. Yeah, about that tree we broke. Yeah, we did break that cycle. So we have kind of, that was an unforeseen thing. But he doesn't seem too bothered about that. Even the tree wasn't too bothered about it. It was like, oh, do you remember when the tree said something along the lines of the mist wasn't the thing they were making, it was just a side product? That's what was going on there. It's just, those are the souls we don't need anymore. We'll just get rid of those. Sure, the tree deserved it. Oh, yeah. Still on Mr. Swan's side for this. But yeah, so we got the angry thing and all that sort of stuff, and he's like, I'm never gonna be your angel of death because I have the friends and friendship and love and friendship, and I've got friends. Meh. And Goldo's like, yeah, I thought you might say that. And then he clicks his fingers, and Simeon collapses. Basically going, you're a genome. I gave you your soul. I can take it away. If this isn't gonna work out. So yeah, he just steals Simeon's soul and he collapses on the floor. No, this should be dramatic, but no. Oh, should we? No, I don't know. I need to carry on from this point. I have to. I know I should stop. This is a good time to stop and, like, from what you know, this would be a good cliffhanger, but I have to do the next bit now. Because now we have, like... We have, like, a kind of weird dream sequence sort of thing. There's the pink fluffy monkeys. We'll get them. That'll be next time. But we have, like, a weird, like, dream sequence. Let's do this in negative, why not? Of, like, Simeon sort of sitting there, sort of very blankly. And he's got, like, all of his friends, sort of friends. He's got all of his companions. Sort of floating around and saying things about the adventures that they've had and, like, the things, you know, oh, Vivi says, I've learned a lot from you, Simeon. Well, you taught me a lot. Not I learned a lot from you. Lamau, friends. Why'd you have to cut your hair? You don't look like yourself anymore. Maybe you didn't learn anything from Simeon, except maybe what not to do. Vivi learned a lot from being in the proximity of Simeon. Not that those things were related. Quimbsh is also here, giving encouraging words. I can't remember what Quimbsh says. Something to do with food, obviously. Probably something along the lines of, hey, thank you for taking me around the world to see so many delicious things. All of our friends are here. Nom 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 nom. So there's this little thing, and like all the while, like encouraging words are being said. Simeon's like in this sort of zombie-like denial of like, you know, no, that's not the real me. That wasn't me who did that. It was who am I? What am I? Etc. That kind of weird wibbly wobbly, like existential crisis kind of thing. And then he wakes up and he's on a weird chair. I'm gonna do this. Oh, do you know what? Well, it's been a while since we've done this. We're gonna do it the other way because it's the direction that it happens. Wakes up in a weird HR Giga chair. Pizza? Homemade pizza, so you gotta go. Have good pizza. You know what I'm gonna do here. You're not missing anything. Have good pizza. Got them with friendship, and this kind of appropriate for what's going to happen. So So anyway, he's just sort of slumped in this chair, this weird chair thing. Feeling rather existential and not himself. Simeon with half-lidded eyes looks a lot like a Simon. Honestly, similar sort of attitude for what's happening here. I was thinking about the Final Fantasy VIII draw-through earlier, actually. I was thinking, like, how many more streams is this going to take? And I thought, well, the epilogue of this game is actually quite long. So that might be a stream in and of itself. And then I compared it to Final Fantasy VIII, and I was like, yeah, the epilogue of Final Fantasy VIII was basically Simon has an existential crisis and Pikachu chokes on a hot dog. Like, that game did not have much of an epilogue. This game had a whole lot going on. It didn't need an epilogue. Anyway, at least we've now gotten to the, you know, the moon cries monsters part of this game. Which is that, oh hey, Simeon was an alien. From an alien race that's trying to wipe out all life on the planet. It's not. Am I wrong, miss? I can fix that, miss. That's fine. There's all the quirks. Boom. Sorted. May have to reset the bot to make that work. Sorry. Bad time to reset the bot. I knew that would happen. There we go, it's back on. You know, never remember any of these draw-throughs. Honestly, I can't remember most of the Final Fantasy IX draw-through. There you go. Spolling Msduk's Sloved. Right, so what happens now is Betty and Vivi find Simeon somehow. I don't know how they got here. It frankly doesn't matter, because they're... well, I'm not going to say that, that's rude. I was about to say, it doesn't matter because they're not even trying anymore. That's not true, they are trying, they just don't have time. Still doing the FF9. I meant FF8. He's on the set of Alien. It's very Giga. This place is very Giga. There are eyes in the walls, lots of weird tubes and wires and stuff. Anyway, they run up to him and they're like, "Oh, hey, Simeon, we found you. We were worried about you. What's been going on?" And Simeon just like goes, "Oh, shut up," and just starts walking away. And they're like, "What? Are you okay, Simeon? What's the problem?" As I said, shut up. Because he's gone full like, who am I? I don't care about you. Friendship, what's friendship? There. And they're like, "Hey, we came to save you. What's wrong? I know this is all a bit confusing, but we're here together to master baby Vivi." I know. What do you remember from FF8 is basically the orphanage of plot convenience, no dying in a car crash off screen, and monsters of the moon. Also the bowling pin triplets. Soulless dick. But yeah, they try and go like, "Oh, come on, Simeon, oh, everyone's, you know, Zoralda's woken up. Do you want to go see her?" And he's like, "No," and then he sort of like zombie-like walks off. "Oh, you're so mean." This is all happening behind some wires, conveniently. Because he walks through this weird gate thing, which shuts behind him, locking these two in. And he's like, oh, stupid children, they don't understand. And he walks into the next room in his sort of zombie-ish state. His soul being taken away from didn't turn him apathetic, it just turned him into a dick. Pretty much, yeah. By the way, apologies to anyone who likes this portion of the game. Actually, if you want to get the atmosphere of this portion of the game, go on YouTube right now and let me think of an example. Put on November Rain by Guns N' Roses. Some sort of like cheesy hair metal ballad, because that's the music that's playing right now. People really like it. I don't understand why. To be fair, his soul did just get effed with, and imagine that's not great for one's personality. True, that is true. And I'm fine, honestly, I'm kind of fine with this sequence. But there's a reason I'm doing it now. It's There's a Muppet. Alexa, play Welcome to the Black Parade. Nah, it's got to be more kind of cheese. Sort of dragging his feet back. And then he gets attacked by a weird monster. This is technically a kind of mini boss rush kind of thing. Like the idea of character that's helped to bring a band of misfits together to sort out their problems, have those help them in return at a low point, but again, pacing. Exactly, yeah, like this, it kind of works. He's always been the sort of emotional anchor, I guess, for the group, but it never really pans out that way, and this is not the best execution of the return. Yeah, a monster just shows up, and it tries real hard to mess with you. It's a good trope, you don't think it works here. I will say, in the game's defense, I have not done a fantastic job at explaining the kind of bond that Simeon has been trying to form with the characters throughout the game by being the kind of character he is, because again, that's almost all down to dialogue that I don't remember. But at the same time, you could honestly cut him out of the game and I wouldn't notice. Up until this point. Tori? Oh, Tori? But yeah, this fight happens. Simeon's on his own, and he gets bodied. You don't know how to spell his name. Tori. Basic, boring spelling. But yeah, it doesn't go well. But along comes, I can't remember who comes along. This is where I need hero. I mean, it doesn't particularly matter too much. But along comes Another character the game forgot about, Nox. And of course, who could forget? Tondon Dingle. Yay! And they come and defend him and fight with him. And it was like, ah, Simeon, we found you. Good job. And Simeon, once again, is a dick. And I was like, I don't need your help. Zomble. You get the idea. Someone get him a coffee. After defeating this, he once again shambles along. A gate shuts behind him, leaving behind the other two, the Don and Nox. Ton, sorry, and Nox. Gate shut like that. Another monster comes along, which I think is a giant turtle. Hang on. I'm spending too long on this because this sequence is approximately 3 minutes long. What are you doing? Give me the thing I asked. Cool, yes. It don't need to be any more complicated, but you made it more complicated. So yeah, so he gets now attacked by a giant turtle. Adamantoise, strictly. They're very strong, they have big feet. I made them all bunched up for no reason. And Simeon can't. He's got a tiny dagger. He's not going to be able to get through that. Not without some good old blunt force trauma. That's right. James is still here. And now he does his bit in this story of, hey, we're here to save you. Oh wait, why are you acting weird? Etc, etc. And also, because it's a giant turtle, Quimbsh is here. Quimbsh heard that there was a giant turtle. Doesn't know what's going on with Simeon. Doesn't care. There's a giant turtle. Eat the turtle. Yeah, Quimbsh has got the right attitude. But once again, old Sleepy Bones needs a coffee, carries on. Through another gate. Brushing off the people who tried to help him. I kind of want to get the script up for this bit. Somebody actually has the script up here. But yes, another monster attacks. I'm trying to remember what monster it is at the moment. We've done the turtle. Quimbsh has eaten the turtle. Tori. Can't keep asking that of everything, I'm sure. Not again, miss. Sorry, I missed it for the second one. Just noticed. Well, you fight Malboro here, so I might as well do one of those. They always make me think of Miss now, which is out of context, a rude thing to say. You know that massive, horrible tentacle monster, what spews noxious gas out of its mouth because it has such terrible breath? Yeah, that reminds me of Miss. It reminds me of Miss because Miss came into our lives during the Final Fantasy VII Drawthrough. When I was drawing a Malboro. And then drew a cute one in a little comic. But anyway, that's there. And along comes... Who else? Zorld the knife. With their new haircut that I still don't know how to draw. I think it's getting shorter every time I draw it. I think I am going to read the dialogue verbatim for this scene. I'm not going to give it as much oomph as I normally would. The power of love, yes, that's basically what's going to happen here. So, right, so yeah, Zidane comes into this area. Oh, apparently it's a shell dragon. Yeah, whatever. Saying, you're all a bunch of babysitting bastards, but trust me, I know I'm the worst bastard here. Why he knows that, I don't know. Again, he's having a weird crisis. I don't know where this is coming from. Okay, yeah, I don't know. Again, maybe because he was supposed to be the person who committed genocide, but I mean, he didn't. Whatever. Crisis, it's fine. And then Zolda Knife comes in. And he sees her and goes, Zolda. And she's like, you try to do everything by yourself, don't you? And he goes, try to understand, I don't want to cause trouble to anyone. She's like, aren't we your friends? He's like, I want to think so, that's why I always... Look, I'm not from Gaia. I was just a hair's breadth from becoming the destroyer of Gaia. I can't accept your friendship so easily. And she goes, you've always protected us, but you still don't understand that we looked out for you too. We watched your back while you watched ours, and we believed in you the same way you believed in us. Just like you protected us, we want to protect you. And he goes, Zorolda. Then Quimbsh comes in, apparently. which I forgot. And says, "You say it. My master tell me somebody give you tasties, you give them tasties too. It's good manners. I still not cook you succulent frog yet, Simeon." Because Queen has the best words of it. Quimbsh has the best words of advice. Then James comes in and says, "Chivalry requires a knight to look after his comrades in arms. I will not abandon you, and I shall follow you to kingdom come if I must. You remember that." And then Simeon goes, "What am I going to do with you guys?" And now he's back. Now he's fine. So that's the end of that sequence. Like I say, in theory, I like this. The cheesy hair metal ballad doesn't help.
Sigh.
Sigh. The cheesy hair metal ballad really doesn't help. I don't think that music works at all for this sequence. The fact that it comes out of nowhere doesn't help. And the fact that it ends in 3 minutes. This is never mentioned again. Yes, the theme here is pacing. This has potential, and everything is squandered. She's also carrying a magic racket. Yeah, you need to have build-up. Anything for this. Again, like you must be aware, right? I'm doing a draw through of this, which means that I am talking about the things I remember and I think are important. So you're automatically going to be seeing this story from my sort of biased perspective. So I may have missed out things for which this is for which this is related, and you haven't seen all of the rapport that Simeon has been having with characters and all that sort of stuff. But I am trying to tell you the story as accurately as I remember it. And I don't think I've missed out anything big. But yeah, hopefully now you understand why I wanted to do this bit before we finished, because it's this big emotional climax with the cheesy butt rock, and it's over in a minute. Oh yeah. The next thing that's said is Zoralda says, "Where are the others?" And Simeon's like, "Oh, I've trapped them in a gate." And James goes, "Why did you do that, you idiot?" And Simeon goes, "Right, okay, let's go back and help them." And that, like I say, that's the scene. It's done. Yeah, the emotional caretaker shouldn't be Simeon. It kind of makes, again, like it's a lot of it's down to how I've told this story. Simeon is actually, I'm not going to say emotionally mature, but he's a bit more emotionally aware of others than I've probably given out. He is still Simeon. So. But he gives like little pep talks to Vivi whenever Vivi's feeling down and helping him through and all that sort of stuff. And I like the idea that, you know, this is now a mirror image of what Vivi went through, right? Only it comes out of nowhere and it doesn't have a satisfying payoff. And really, frankly, you should have just spent that energy working more on Vivi's story. But I like the idea of it. Theming, you know. Theming's good. Oh yeah, he actively cares for people much more than Simon did. Absolutely, he is a people person, unlike Simon, who honestly couldn't care. And this was the word of wisdom that brought him back from the brink. Once again, Quimbsh saves the day because Marge isn't here, so someone's got to do it. Yeah, that was Simon. We called him Simon for a reason. I think they just really wanted a character who who didn't spend at least the first half of the game acting like a standoffish arse. So like, let's make the rogue the main character, you know? Cheeky chappy. And I guess that's why this is supposed to be so, you know, impactful. Because he's depressed now for 5 minutes. They just channeled all the Simon energy for these 3 minutes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, he turned into Simon for 3 minutes. He did. He actually did. I've just... Oh yeah, for our new friends, Simon, we did the Final Fantasy VIII Drawthrough. Simon is what we're calling Squall. You recall this section doesn't last for very long. It's like, Simon was existential, and then he was not. Sun Tzu. Exactly, that's the thing. This could have, again, pacing. The Ragdoll's got it. It's just the pacing. It comes and goes. This is never brought up again, and it's supposed to be this big emotional climax, but there was never a build-up. So it just happens and stops. Oh dear. Anyway, Quimbsh saves the day, and now we've got to, well, we go back, rescue the others from their temporary imprisonment. And now we've got to try and deal with the fact that somebody's trying to destroy our planet. And that's where we're going to pick up next time. So I hope you liked the Simeon's story. It was self-contained in this one stream. This is what, when I think of the end of this game, that's what I think of. That this whole sequence. It's a lot to unpack. I know, it's almost as if it should have taken longer. Let's throw away the whole suitcase. There's potential here, big old rewrites, scatter things throughout the story, have moments earlier in the story when Simeon fails in his resolve and his friends pick him up a bit and he's like, you know, you can... Quite what you do with the whole alien thing, I don't know, but... We've got to go to space at some point, it's Final Fantasy. Fool's AU when? Oh god. Maybe. Maybe we could. Like I say, the first half of this game is really, really good. The next quarter is okay, and then the last quarter is... But yeah, we're I think... We're over the hump of the bizarre now. Yeah, hint of the aliens earlier. Yeah, the first mention we have of the aliens is in the ruin, the spiral ruin we went to with the plane in it. And that's way too late. Don't make me think about Fool's AU for this. We're going to be here for years. Yeah, reveal Mr. Swan is the same as Simeon earlier. Yeah, a reveal of the tail would be nice. Yeah, exactly. That would be good, because then Simeon could go, ooh, and be like, because he's had his whole thing of like, you know, I'm an orphan, I've never met anybody like me, I don't know where I came from, all I remember is a blue light. That's the blue light I was talking about earlier. Oh, I never explained why the light's there. It's honestly not a great explanation, but basically Terra's supposed to be red, and all of the creatures who are on it are used to red light and things like that, but Gaia's blue. And if they're going to inhabit that, they're going to have to get used to the fact that everything's blue. So they've just stuck lights everywhere. Blue lights to try and get them used to it. Which is a weird explanation, but it's a thing. An unwinnable fight with Mr. Swan where we see the tail and some pink monkey stuff would be good. Yeah, we'll get to pink monkeys next time. Yeah, like I say, I think we're over the hump of just like what is going on. And now it's just a kind of slow decline to the end. We're just going to coast now. Also, do you know what, actually? I'm going to give you one benefit. I'm going to give you one thing to look forward to, right? I'm going to give you a choice of final boss. I'm going to make that up to you when we get there. Yes. More on that later. I'm trying to think of things we can look forward to, and I was like, do you know what? That's the thing we could do. What do you mean choice of final boss? What choice? It's a final boss. Do you remember when we said that the game Back in Time to Say Goodnight Kira, I've just said that, you know, something we could look forward to. We've just finished this sequence of the You Are Not Alone. That's the piece of music that plays in the background, by the way. I was just saying we've got to have something to look forward to, and what I've said is that I'm going to let you choose the final boss, because there are a couple of choices. Hopefully Kira knows what I mean. No? Okay. I just feel like, you know, there are contenders. But yeah, given that the theme of this game has been, as it's gone on, more and more things have been introduced that really have nothing to do with anything before it, that's going to be a theme that carries on. Question. Yes? What if you just punch Simeon as the final boss? You, Cheeb, against Simeon. I mean, we could have that... I could put that in the dream sequence we just did. The chat might be a bit delayed. No, that's fine. Let Cheeb punch Simeon, yes. Also, I got the script up for this sequence so that people could understand what it was that turned Simeon around. And I read it out verbatim, substituting names, of course, and because I didn't want to misrepresent this part. I wanted it to be known as accurately as I can. And Quimbsh saves Simeon by talking about boiling frogs. Anywho, I'm glad we got to this. This was the bit I was looking forward to trying to explain. It was uninspired friendship as magic speech with the exception of Quimbsh. Yes. It's not even well done. It's not even well written as dialogue. The dialogue in general in this game is actually really good, and I'm not doing it justice by trying to recount it from memory, but that sequence is just not good. And I'm gonna say, hands up here, if you look this up online, people love this bit. I don't know whether this is, you know, just one of those things of a vocal minority or whatever, but yeah, people love it. It's like, oh, this is such an emotional heft, and like, not ironically, they legitimately think this is like a real emotional, like, oh, and they love the music, and it's all comes together, and for me, it just falls so flat on its face. Again, I feel bad criticizing this game because this is like one of my favorite Final Fantasies, but this section ain't it. I love this game. They never heard of this trope before. It's oh look, there's Nox. Of course she's in there. Oh, the chariot, don't look at that. You agree, you love this game, it's also one of your favorites. I could do without the ending. So yeah, we've got a planet to save. That's coming up. I hope you enjoyed whatever this was. We're gonna carry on with this story now that Simeon's entire arc is over. In one stream. We got his whole story in one stream. That is even Nox had longer than that. Who also deserved. We are gonna have to do a Fool's AU of this, aren't we? Oh. Maybe when we finish, maybe in the morning streams or something, we can do a little Fool's AU. Nox deserves better. Simeon deserves something. Simeon and Mr. Swan, a bit more going on there before what's going to happen. Just any build up to the alien thing, or a replacement of the alien thing with something else. We'll make a Fool's AU of what you remember. That's fair. That's a reasonable thing to do. From this Drawthrough, yeah. Oh, and also for our new friend, Fool's AU is the thing, which is it's probably explanatory from the name, but Fool's AU is just a thing where we rewrite stuff. Come up with our little rewrite of bits and bobs. An AU in which we fix what we think are flaws and try to make things better. Who knows what other flaws we introduce, but it's fun. Yes. So hope you had a good time. I'll be back tomorrow morning with something. Not extraordinarily certain at the moment. Maybe more Blender, maybe some doodling, maybe stuff. Don't know. And then tomorrow evening, there's, as far as I'm aware, Jeep. And Jeep stream. Not a Jeep stream, CC. Yee! Jeep stream! Exciting. Yes, and then Saturday we're going to do some sort of games with friends, not entirely sure what it is, but we're going to do something. Sunday, then Saturday morning, hopefully do some, a little more work on the funky, thingamabob. Funky Death by Glamour. Might be away from Twitch tomorrow because of American Thanksgiving. Oh yes, I forgot about that. Have a lovely Thanksgiving. Everybody who celebrates. Hope you have a lovely time if you're doing things. Yee. And cetera, and cetera. Garfield, go away. To everybody else, have a grand old time. Hope you had a lovely time here. And I'll see you all around, peoples. Good to see you and such. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, bye-bye.